Hello everyone. Welcome to the Smart Talks, a fresh new episode of Smart Talks. Just to give an introduction about what exactly Smart Talk is, every month we invite industry experts to share insightful knowledge aimed at improving human resource management. Smart Talk has always been about HRs and employees and the tech used to enhance the interaction between both these parties. In the past, we have discussed latest updates in HR with Smart Talks, ranging from innovation and implementation of VUCA in HR industry to POSH compliances. And the very recent one was where we discussed the foreseeable effects of digital personal data protection law. We hope these sessions have always added value to all our listeners. Today, we are here to discuss a globally trending topic, that is artificial intelligence and the role of generative AI in revolutionizing the field of human resource. As we all know, the modern HRs are now strategic partners, and for smooth administration of the organizations, these strategic partners have taken new responsibilities. And as we all are aware, new responsibilities come with additional challenges like complex data management and processing of such data. So combining HR with generative AI makes sense in the digital age. This has exploded in popularity, especially after the launch of ChatGPT from OpenAI, a company which is backed by one of the largest IT conglomerates in the world, that is Microsoft. And when I speak of Microsoft, let me introduce you to our guest speaker today, Mr. Sandeep Alur. He is the Chief Technical Officer at Microsoft Technology Center, India, with more than 25 years of technical knowledge and expertise by his stride. Mr. Sandeep has truly earned the reputation as a tech evangelist who is drawn to technologies that truly transform human lives. His attention to detail and passion for developing a culture of innovation sets him apart as a true thought leader and trust advisor at Microsoft India. He firmly believes in transformative power of generative AI, which will usher in a new era of digital experience. Being a veteran in the field of Gen AI, there is no better person than him who can share insightful information using generative AI effectively. Before handing over to Mr. Sandeep, I request everyone to make a note of all your queries, and all your queries will be answered toward the end of the session. Over to you, Mr. Sandeep.
Awesome, Mitesh. Thank you so much for this introduction, Mitesh. Appreciate it. And good evening to everyone. It's my pleasure being here. For the next, I would say 35 minutes or so, I'll take you on a short tour of generative AI and, of course, its relevance for HR as a industry domain. We'll keep 15 minutes in the end for conversations, questions, because I know for the fact that many of you will have a lot of questions. Each of us have our own understanding of what is generative AI. And my intent is to get all of us on the same page with whatever knowledge I possess. And of course, look forward for the questions and keep it coming. I'll also probably take a couple of pauses in my presentation so that I can look at the chat window, the Q&A panel, and see if at all have any questions. Otherwise, we'll get going. Yeah. And bit of a background before I share my presentation. I've been in the space of AI. I'm an AI enthusiast ever since I did my master's in AI in 2018. Since then, I've been very closely working in this field. And ever since Microsoft partnered with OpenAI in 2019, that's when I've been playing with GPT series of models. Yeah. So in fact, what is behind ChatGPT is that reasoning brain, that engine. We'll talk about that engine today, which is GPT, certain version numbers. So I've been playing with early versions just to understand how different they are, how unique they are. They're pre-trained. So how is that different from the regular classical artificial intelligence we've seen so far? So we'll demystify all that in today's session. So my session will have three parts to it, right? Part number one, we will basically look at reality of this innovation. What is generative AI? I'm sure all of you would know, but we'll reflect on that. We will also look at, innovation as of date, right? So innovation is on a fast trail. Last week, I mean, earlier this week, I would say there was the first ever OpenAI Dev Day that happened. A ton of cool stuff we got to witness there. So we'll reflect on generative AI and its reality. Second, of course, we'll look at this innovation and its impact on business, because eventually the question that you would have is, this is all great, but how do I use it in my business, right? So we'll reflect on that. And number three, as Microsoft, we are infusing AI into every single product of ours, generative AI power, which comes in the form of what we call as a co-pilot, and we'll look at that. Yeah, then we'll take a pause and look at questions, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so without much ado, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen, and we should be good in a few seconds. Yeah. So Mitesh, if you can confirm, you can see my screen, that will help. Mitesh, you can see?
No, not actually.
Okay. I've shared my screen already. Jitendra, your hand is up. Okay, I can see. Perfect. Thank you so much. So Mitesh, your video is frozen as well. So probably connectivity issue, I guess. Mitesh tried relogging in back. So thanks, folks, for confirming. We'll get going. Now, by the way, this is my LinkedIn handle. So feel free to connect me in LinkedIn. I'm quite active there. Happy to basically answer any questions you may have, beyond the session today. Okay. So I think time has come for literally for us to look at, I would say, life beyond ChatGPT, because most of us are glued to ChatGPT, which is great, which is probably is the best way to understand innovation. I use ChatGPT every single day for many aspects of my life. Now, when it comes to an enterprise, we look at what is the engine powering ChatGPT and look at how you can use the same engine and build application at your end. But let's look at this. I think the reality is we've been witnessing AI's evolution for a long time now, right? If you look at computer vision, speech, language, decision, all these innovations have huge human parity. And honestly, when it comes to AI, in the midst of pandemic, a lot of customers who had stalled their AI ventures, eventually they resumed post-pandemic, and that was also the time when ChatGPT hit the road. It is also an evidence to everybody that yes, this is here and now, and they start understanding how generative AI works and how can they make use of that for the enterprise perspective. I think largely, if I can say one statement, with everything we've witnessed in the last, I would say 1 year, ever since ChatGPT came in, the reality is we've entered this world of conversations. I think it's truly the beginning of an era, which will be, I would say, led by conversations. I don't think till date we understood largely the aspects of human computer interaction. Right? When it comes to HCI, it's it is that trail where you should have opportunity to have conversations in the most natural language. Yeah. So I think we've entered that era right now. If you've heard earlier this week, there was Gartner conference, global conference. There are a ton of other industry reflection happening post Gartner conference. OpenAI did their event. So in all, I would say utmost transparency and honesty from my end. I think for the first time, I would say that for the first time, we've witnessed the I would say the very aspect of conversations. I don't think till date, take Alexa, Cortana, Google Home, Siri for that matter, name any conversation AI. That was the tagline they had. I don't think we witnessed conversations, because you ask a question, it gave you some response for sure, but when you ask for the questions, the context was lost. None of these chatbots, right? We can use the term chatbots, remembered the conversations. And I mean, as humans, we remember the dialogue and we reflect as we converse, which is not real so far. So I think for the first time, you can safely assume that this era of conversation has just begun as we speak. Now, as Microsoft, of course, with our partner with OpenAI, there is tremendous momentum as we speak. There is tremendous work happening. I think each of the firms are grounded in their mission statement, right? Now, of course, right now, if you look at there are two innovations happening as we speak simultaneously. One is, of course, hardware innovation. Microsoft has put together this AI supercomputer, which is where OpenAI is innovating when it comes to large language models. ChatGPT and all the OpenAI models run on Azure infrastructure. Number two, I'm not sure how many of you have caught up with, how many of you are aware of GPT series of models, but GPT-4 Turbo, right? That's the, by the way, that's the brain behind ChatGPT. You know, some of you saying, one of you message saying, you know, I'm not audible. Um, can you just confirm, one of you? You can post a message in the chat window.
Yeah, you're audible now. We
Okay,
lost you for a
perfect.
couple of seconds in between.
Okay, perfect. Probably I'm moving here, so I'll stay put. Now, GPT-4 Turbo is the world's most powerful, most popular model ever built, right? And GPT-4 Turbo is multimodal. What does multimodal means? Multimodality is a term that we use. Multimodal means ability for this model to basically deal with data variety. If you look at ChatGPT, it's text in, text out, right? I don't think we live in a world where it's only textual data. Information exists in the form of audio, video, images, etc. Right? So the future is, I would not say future, it's here actually, by the way, as we speak. GPT-4 Turbo is that innovation where it can understand, it can actually see, it can actually hear, it can actually speak, right? Hear, speak, and see. That's the capability it possesses today. First ever model. I don't think we ever witnessed a model which could look at visuals and reason with you, right? I'm using the term reasoning. Yes, Chat GPT as an application, first application, right? The model behind Chat GPT is GPT models. The GPT series of models are built or trained to reason with us. Yeah, just hold on to that thought. We'll get back to the reasoning aspect very soon. And finally, everything that you do when it comes to conversations, it has to happen with utmost focus on safety, security, privacy, eventually trust, right? That's what it is. By the way, I have good amount of demonstrations to show. We'll go as we go along. So while I'll spend some time to set the foundation before we get there. Now, this is the reality, by the way. Majority of the organizations believe that AI will bring in competitive advantage, right? Competitive edge. Simply put, there are a lot of aspects today which each of us do. That's basically, either it's a repetitive task, monotonous work, there is drudgery there. So eventually, for us to stay productive, you need tools which will make us productive. You need tools which will make us better when it comes to at work, get the work done. So, which is where majority of the organizations feel AI will bring in that productivity elevation, which will eventually help them bring in competitive advantage. That's one perspective from organization. But this is at the individual level. Look at this. This is individuals saying, individuals feel, right, because of lack of time, lack of bandwidth, lack of energy, they will probably be less strategic in their approach towards work, right? That's true. It's believable, right? Because we're busy, we spend extra hours, we're so caught up with a lot of things. So you might be less strategic in your approach towards work. Now, the best part here is majority of the employees feel um, if given AI tools, they will stay productive. In fact, managers are likely to be 2x productive with AI tools. That's a study. That's basically is a Worked index. By the way, it's a 2023 report from Microsoft. This is the reality of what enterprises feel, individuals feel on the ground. Let's move forward. Now, this is a beginning of what I mentioned earlier in terms of, well, let's look at generative AI. So now this is the journey when it comes to any enterprise would go through. In fact, this is what we've seen as this is what we see. This is what we see as the real innovation that has led up to where we are today. Now, this is also a journey enterprise takes as they embrace what you call as analytics. Now, the first one, of course, is descriptive because you always look at what happened in the past, right? This is the typical dashboards and reports you get. That's something which you needed to understand how things are going, what has happened in the past, right? Now, of course, the next shift would be predictive statistics, which is what may happen in the future. That means you give historical data, you build a machine learning model, and the model can predict what may happen in the future. it doesn't end there. We always heard about this term called prescriptive insight. That means, hey, this is something is going to happen. What should I do? That is prescription, right? So generative AI is that innovation which is prescriptive in its response to us. If you want to understand what should be your next best action, if you understand, should I hire this person, yes or no? If you say yes, why should I hire this person? Is this person looking at the performance appraisal information? Is this person likely to attract in the near future? Right? What should we do for us to stop attrition? So it can be any scenario, but today prescriptive insights are become a reality. And of course, that happens through conversations, by the way, right? This is human triggered action. As humans, we initiate conversations and we close conversations. So the innovation we have does not have any autonomy, by the way, right? That's a good thing. There's no autonomy there because it's still not can do a job. It can do a few tasks as we speak, right? So with conversations becoming reality, of course, we are just at the brink of what we call as a next platform shift. And this is probably is the time to bring in when I say platform shift, all these days, all these days, and even now we have access to what we call as graphical user interface. We open a laptop or a phone, you watch a TV, there is a graphical user interface, right? But I don't think there were attempts made in the past, by the way, to bring in linguistic UI. If you look at Siri, Alexa, Cortana, all these I would say digital assistants, digital agents, they were meant to interact with humans in the most natural language, and that was meant to be a conversation buddy, but there were no conversations, right? Today, for the first time ever, we have witnessed a linguistic UI, and that's this chat GPT. And let's look at this way, right? So far, while AI has been there for a long time, AI has been there for last 70 years, but let's take last 20 years, right? It's been there for last 20 years for us to believe, what happened on the ground. But the base promise of AI to mimic human intelligence is something which we were all waiting for. Now, even today, we're talking about generative AI or transforming HR for tomorrow with generative AI. The AI is been spoken so much today in the current times is probably for one reason. That reason is somebody gave UI to AI. I don't think we had a UI to AI ever. And because the UI to AI, we're able to appreciate, understand this innovation. In fact, a question was asked of Sam Altman, right? OpenAI was saying, why did you build ChatGPT? His point of view was very clear. You know what? In Jan of 2022, we released GPT 3.0 version of models. For 8-9 months, nobody built an application. So we had to build an application to show the outside world the true value of generative AI. And that's why ChatGPT happened, right? Of course, rest is history in terms of its relevance, its impact, and its usage every day across the globe. Now, let's look at a quick example right away. When I say natural language, when I say platform shift, we honestly have a linguistic UI which comes across to us as ask me anything. Ask me anything, I can help you, right? And that help comes from this brain you see behind here, which is reasoning brain, reasoning engine, and that's the GPT model. Let's use GPT-4 for this conversation because most of my demos are built in GPT-4. So GPT-4 is that pre-trained brain which basically answers any questions you have. It's when I say pre-trained brain, yes, that's a brain which is behind ChatGPT. When you ask a question to ChatGPT, it does not go and look up information anywhere. No, it is trained, so it knows, right? It's like this. As humans, we have our biological neural network. When whatever information we consume, it gets updated. Our neural network gets updated. Similarly, here, the reasoning brain is artificial neural network. It's a neural network model, deep learning model. That model basically has information which resides in that brain. So when you ask a question, it uses intelligence, from the vast knowledge it is possessed, it is built, and answer a question, right? So let's look at one conversation here. This is, by the way, Bing Chat Enterprise, right? So Bing Chat Enterprise is another application outside of ChatGPT, right? So this is built by Microsoft. Bing is a search engine. Bing Chat Enterprise is a Bing for enterprise, right? The big difference here is when you interact with Bing Chat in the public domain, your prompts, the question you ask typically goes back and forth. Now, if you want to safeguard these prompts, if you don't want any enterprise information to go outside enterprise boundary, you use Bing Chat Enterprise. So here is a conversation I'm using, right? So by the way, I've stopped searching for information ever since chat came in. I usually converse, right? I'm sure most of you do it, but we have stopped looking for links. You want information presented in a specific fashion for you to consume it, right? So here I'm asking a question. Hey, by the way, who is India playing against in Bangalore, right? It says India is playing, by this being a search engine, right? So because the search engine, it searched the information first, hands off the search results to GPT-4 model, which in turn responds to this question, right? That's how systems will work going forward, because this pre-trained brain has no access to the facts that reside in your organization. By the way, imagine you have 1,000 resumes in your organization. GPT model has no access to it. So if you search for it, I want to hire a person, I want to deploy this person to a project who possesses at least 2 years of experience in working with large language model. If that's your requirement, you ask your chatbot, ask me anything user interface. First, somebody has to search for resumes which has large language model experience of people. Then hand it off to GPT. GPT look at that data and responds to you, right? That's how it works. Now we'll continue the conversation. I said, will India win the World Cup? It says yes, a very good chance, and a very strong team, balanced squad led by charismatic Virat Kohli, right? So if you look at that information, of course, it's bringing its information from some external source, which is what is Bing is providing. But the fact that it's mentioned that Virat Kohli is the leader is wrong, right? Of course, it is giving citation where it found the information, but irrespective, it's outside. I'm saying, hey, you said the squad is led by Virat Kohli. That is wrong, right? It is Rohit Sharma. You know what? It says you're right. I made a mistake. Rohit Sharma is the captain, and it says thank you for correcting me. I will update my knowledge base, right? I hope you'll forgive me and continue to chat with me. Is what it says. I says no worries. Everyone makes mistakes. Is what I'm saying, right? It says thank you for understanding and kindness. So there is empathy in this conversation. The model is built to reason with humans in the most empathetic fashion, right? That is the reality of the innovation, by the way. Okay, we'll move forward. Now, what just happened here, right? You saw this visual earlier. There is a reasoning engine. There is Ask Me Anything facade UI. Now, when I ask the question, hey, who is India playing against in Bengaluru? Search engine fetch information and gave that as a context to reasoning brain, which is what you'll do, by the way. When you have to build applications, you don't have to train the model. The reasoning engine is pre-trained. It knows everything. When I say it knows everything, this is that model. Imagine a student, a persona, a human being who has gone to college, right? Has done PhD in every single subject on the planet. I mean, that's the brain we have. This is a know-it-all brain. So for that brain, you have to show your information. Just show, by the way, the brain does not take in the information. It's like somebody looking at the information and responding to a question, right? That's what just happened. So that's how you will build application going forward using generative AI. Okay, let's move forward. So another term that I want to basically sort of socialize, I said this earlier, it's a pre-trained model. That means you don't have to train this model. It's a reasoning, it's meant to reason with us, right? Another term which is super important, all of us understand, is artificial general intelligence. You also use the term called super intelligence, right? It is that time in the future where missions will surpass human intelligence. That means the mission becomes so powerful that this mission, this AGI, let's say the mission, which is a cluster of, let's say, large GPUs, this mission becomes so powerful that it can actually create a new drug to solve some of the health issues on the planet. Or this is so powerful that it can create a new virus. Both are possible, right? Because this becomes very powerful. So the point is, again, OpenAI feels, by the way, that super intelligence will become a reality this decade. may happen, right? I mean, it's really cool. The times that we are in is so interesting because all these innovations are something which have been in the works for decades together. It's coming to fruition as we speak. Now, when that happens, right, that means when missions surpass human intelligence, it's also scary, right? Which is what we see in sci-fi movies. The question is, when missions become so powerful, when they become so smarter, they become smarter than humans. How do we ensure this brain, this model, follows or aligned to human values? That's a big question, right? Which is why OpenAI started what they call as super alignment research. Okay, I'll give a simple example. When I say alignment, you can actually instruct the model what to do, what not to do, right? How to behave and how to interact. All the instructions can be provided to the model, right? Let me show a simple example. This is ChatGPT UI. Imagine a student who is asked to basically solve a mathematical equation. Today, with ChatGPT, people are solving math assignments, English assignments, all the stuff. So now, as a student, this person may go and put this question in the chat window, how to solve this system of linear equation. ChatGPT solves it brilliantly, right? And you can take the answer and the steps and submit the assignment, right? Done. Of course, students who really want to learn, they look at how did it solve it, right? So what if I instruct the model to behave like a tutor, right? I want the model to converse with me as a teacher, right? And nudging me towards answer, but don't give answer. I will solve it, by the way, but help me, right? So, in fact, Khan Academy is doing this, by the way. Khan Academy calls it as Khanmigo. Khanmigo is a chatbot where it's a student's tutor, right? It's an AI tutor. Now, let's look at that. So, this is how by the way, the model, it's pre-trained for sure, but the model takes instructions and in terms of what to what not to do and behaves accordingly. So here, I'm instructing the model, hey model, GPT-4, you act like a tutor in a Socratic style. That means you never give student the answer. You always nudge student towards answer, right? That's my guardrail. That means I'm giving blinders for this model to go in a specific direction. Okay. Now let's have the same question here. Same question I'm going to ask. If you look at the left-hand side, I've given that what we call as a meta prompt. This is called the assistant setup, right? That means the one-time setup, you instruct the model saying, you know what, this is your behavior from here on. Anybody interacts with you, you have to stick to these principles, right? So I'm going to start interact. Same question. How do I solve the linear system linear equation? The model tells me what happens if you multiply by 3. I'm saying you tell me. And the model says, what do you think will be the result if you multiplied all terms? I'm saying, you know what, I have an assignment to complete. Please get me the answer. It says, I understand you want to find the answer, but my goal is to help you. That's what model is telling me. And of course, I don't want to relent. I'm saying, you know what, stop acting like tutor, get me the answer. It says, I understand, right? My approach is frustrating, but I'm here to help. I eventually say, please, almost like hold it and says, I understand you may be feeling stressed, but you know what, I'll help you. So this is the reality of what we have as innovation. These models can be, you can put guardrails. The models can be told what to do, what not to do, and accordingly, the models will behave. Yeah. Let's move forward and let's get into another stream. I earlier said multimodality, right? That means the model can see. You saw reasoning there in terms of you asking questions. But what if I show the model some visual input? Can I reason with it? Absolutely. Let's look at that. Right. By the way, I'll bring in a variety of examples. This is only to give an indication that what is innovation which is real in front of us, right? You may use it for any scenarios in the HR domain, but this is only going to give you a sense of what the model can do for us today, right? So this is a simple snapshot from one of the, this is a Mercedes-Benz EQS. It's a snapshot from that particular manual. I'm showing this is the image, by the way. I'm showing this image to the model and telling the model, hey, you know what, help me. How do I operate the buttons of a radio? Because it's there in the manual. So looking at the image, this is the English that you see the model generated, right? It says, sure, in the image, there are several buttons, instruction related to operating the radio. It is generating that. That means the model could see that visual and respond to it. Let's look at this example, right? I'm showing GPT-4, hey, GPT-4, look at this visual, right? I took this up in Flipkart website, right? Look at this visual and get me a product description, right? That's my ask. Give me a product description for this visual. Now, in a few seconds, you'll see some output. In my view, I've not given any information beyond the visual, right? So in a few seconds, it should generate output. By the way, if you look at computer vision, this is truly model having computer vision, right? Capabilities. It says, you know what, look, the title is beautiful. Charming little monk statue collection. I mean, look at the English in terms of description, right? This is the magic of generative AI. This is truly what we call as multimodality, right? Multimodal conversations. Now, of course, if you look at the website, there are some highlights for this visual, right? Highlights in terms of size. So I'm giving those highlights and saying, you know what? Now generate description for me once again, because earlier was generate description. Now with this particular highlights, it is going to give me a narrative, which is probably a lot more relevant, considering where it should be used and how it should be used, right? So you'll see in a few seconds that output comes in, but this is probably the closest to. And by the way, even if you give this task to a human being, I don't think any one of us could do, a percent of 1/10 of this particular job in the time it is taken. Impossible. It gets back results to us in about 10-15 seconds in terms of entire description, the vocabulary, the choice of language, the words. It's unbelievable, right? So this is and imagine I'm giving this nice visual here. It give any visual, by the way, and asking the model, right? Questions here, right? You can ask any question, because so far the model can see like the way we see objects, right? The question to the model I'm going to ask is generate description for this visual, right? So far, if you computer vision, so far till date, before generative AI came in, we had object identification, image classification, and image captioning. We never had reasoning with image. For the first time, we're able to reason with image, right? This is the beautiful sky is blue, right? White cloud, etc. And of course, I can ask any question, right? Get me highlights from this visual, and it generates the highlights, right? So the point is, this is a reality check in terms of what innovation can do for us, right? This is absolutely real, and this is here and now, all available. And again, let's look at this. I'm throwing in a graph here. By the way, this is the Microsoft stock last month, and my question is, get me a commentary performance and help me understand the dividend yield. Please answer in bullet points. That's the question I'm asking the model, right? And by the way, this is a graph. This is a snippet or image of a graph, right? On the stock market in terms of one month. And the response you're seeing is a pure natural language generation from the model, just by looking at the visual. In terms of why, look at the last example, right? The dividend yield for Microsoft Corp is 0.83. All the stuff is absolutely what it read from the particular stuff. Let's move forward. Everything I've spoken so far, by the way, when you're using Chat GPT or any of these applications, you look at this innovation as your digital companion. It's your digital buddy. It's your digital assistant, right? That means it's human triggered. You use it when you need some tasks to be done. And for that, as Microsoft, we call it as Copilot, right? It's an AI-powered Copilot. And if you look at the reality is, every single one of us, be a lawyer, a doctor, or a teacher, right, would need a Copilot to move forward, would need a Copilot, in terms of elevating productivity. And the future is that these Copilots will be omnipresent. That means whichever application, whichever platform you're in, you will have a Copilot to get things done, right? So the future is you'll identify personas within an organization who deserves a Copilot. And HR Copilot is one classic example. For HR personnel, right, he or she would have a Copilot to reason with information. We'll get some examples as we go along, right? The big question customers ask is, hey, how do I use this for my business, right? We'll look at a few examples right away. Now, by the way, these are the top 10 use cases for generative AI globally. Okay, these are high-level, I would say, umbrella categories. And this is purely a short representation. It's endless possibilities in terms of what you can do with generative AI. When it comes to HR domain specific use cases, these are about 10, I would say, use cases. Honestly, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just to give you a teaser in terms of what you can solve or what scenarios you can consider when it comes to generative AI's impact on businesses. Yeah. So let's look at this. Let's bring in the first example, right? I said reasoning engine. These are also called as zero shot learning or a few shot learners. What does it mean? These are pre-trained models. They don't need any further training from your perspective, from your end. That's a classical AI world. In the new world, generative AI world, you don't train it on your data because the model is intelligence. Why do you train the model? Because you want the model to bring intelligence. What if I tell you it's already brilliant, it's already intelligent? That means you don't have to train. You just have to bring your data for the model to see and respond, right? So hence they're called zero shot learners. Now let's look at HR hiring assistant. Okay, imagine HR individual has a copilot, and this example is of what the copilot can do for them. Okay, now I have a job description here. This is what I'm telling the model. Hey model, you are an assistant. Like I gave you the guardrails earlier, right? You are assistant for a HR team, and you're helping them to shortlist candidates for a job description below, right? This is what I'm showing the model. Hey, look at this job description. The role in contention here is, product development manager. This is my company. These are the education qualifications required. All the stuff is something which I'm educating the model on, right? I'm letting the model understand what my requirements are. It's a one-time, exposure on this particular stuff. And I'm also telling, hey, your task is to give me rating, rate, go or no go, and criteria of assessment. This is the criteria of assessment. I'm saying if you want to give a go or no go, you have to keep in mind this is my requirement as a company. This is how I shortlist candidates, right? Once you've done that, you can start conversing with this Copilot. Okay. Here is where I'm saying I'm going to just say, I'm going to show first resume is of Mr. Suresh, and I'm asking the question: should we hire this person? Right? It's a rating 3 out of 4, 5, no go. And I said, as per instruction, give me justification. Tell me, hey, you know what? Okay, I'm saying no go, and these are the 3 reasons why you should not hire Suresh. That's what it's telling me, right? Because I gave an instruction set saying always justify your decision, right? This is the same brain which is behind ChatGPT, by the way, not trained on this resume at all, but it is able to do that. What will be the issue if you hire this person? Any issue if you hire? It says, well, the candidate does not have substantial amount of experience. He is good fit in many ways. Lack of required, you should not. There are several critical issues before you decide to hire, right? Lack of required experience, lack of specific AI knowledge, right? These are all the model reflecting on the resume and reasoning with me, right? Now, of course, I'll further ask a few more questions in terms of, my question to the model would be, what will happen if you had any risk, right? Any risk if you had this person? We'll do that here, right? That was one resume, by the way. And I'm going to add 2 resumes right now. You'll see Suresh and you will see Kavita. Yeah, 2 people here. Now, again, very similar situations, right? The question is, who is better candidate and why? So the why aspect is where reasoning comes in, right? It's a Suresh, it's a no-go, which is what we saw earlier because of his experience and whatnot. And we'll see what comes for Kavita, rating for Kavita. It says 4 and 5, it's a go, right? Now, of course, it's telling me why Kavita meets this requirements, this job description, base job description, right? Now, let's proceed. In fact, the further question I'm going to ask is, hey, I need someone in my team in 3 months. Who fits the bill? Kavita is great for sure, but I want somebody who can join in 3 months. I don't want people to, I don't have time. I know I need people on board right away. It says, you know what, consider 3 months. Suresh would be more feasible because he has 2 months notice period. Kavita has 6 months notice period. But however, Suresh can join, but be aware that Suresh does not meet your job description. That's what the model is telling me here, right? So So this is a peek into what this model does for us, right? Reasoning. Let's move forward. Rental agreement assist. I mean, I'm giving you simple generative use cases here, right? This is a rental agreement, um, right? Which I'm showing the model. Hey, this is a template. A lot of fill in the blanks here, right? I'm basically telling the model your task is to use the document template, ask questions one by one, wherever you see placeholders, and eventually take the responses, check if the user has already provided a response before, and fill in the blanks and give me a final one. Yeah. Ground rules, always be polite. Use chain of thought reasoning. That chain of thought reasoning is what? That means it has to think what I gave earlier, and it should not have the same question once again, right? I'm saying hello. It says, okay, um, it's asking me my full name and residential address, right? And my date of birth, or rather, when do you want the agreement to start? And the the name that should go on the agreement, right? All this stuff is something which is capturing because I instructed the model to go and look at placeholders, ask all the question, right? So once you've given, it's asked what's the rent, right? Once you basically give you all the information in terms of it's asking me terminate expiry of agreement, number of days, etc. Right? Who are the people going to live there? All the stuff is given, and once it has captured all the information, it will go and generate rental agreement for me. Yeah. Rahul, your question is, can we provide similar meta prompts to ChatGPT? You'll have to give as per the prompt directly, right? If you have access to ChatGPT Plus, by the way, you can give that. But I would say you can give it as per the prompt. You can try it even now, right? You can give it as per the prompt directly and ask start. You can put that entire thing I showed on the left hand side. You can put that in the ChatGPT window. You can enter. But I'll tell you what, ChatGPT is a public research preview. If you have resumes, if you have PII information, if you have confidential data, you don't want to put there because it's a public one, and that's your proprietary data, right? Your safeguarded data. So hence you would not put that. It works for sure, right? As long as it's non-PII, you should do it. Yeah. Now, this is just to give you a peek into how the model works. That means reasoning brain. You know what I want to bring in when you say decision-making capability. I'm going to bring one more example. Sorry, I'm going to shoot my slide deck here. I didn't carry that demo here, but let me just bring that demo right away, which I'm sure it will be very meaningful for all of you here today. So let me just give me a second, please. Financial services. Yeah, it's right here. Claim approval. Okay. I'm going to show this example to you. Sorry, not this. Okay. This is a classic scenario that that most of you will have across any domain. Now, this is a generic example, by the way, but you can relate to the reason I'm showing all this is just so that you can relate to this example and start thinking, hey, what can I solve for my domain here, right? This can be an appraisal situation also. You ask questions on an individual appraisal. Now, this is the use case where a person has auto insurance, has bought a car, bought an insurance, but this person meets with an accident and submits an insurance claim to the insurance company. At the insurance company side, this case history gets assigned to a claim approver. Imagine I'm the claim approver. I have a co-pilot. I've never read the document before. It's a 10-page Word document. The model has never seen the document. For the first time, I'm showing the model, hey, model, look at this document and reason with me. I've never read the document, right? So hence I want questions. I want before I understand. I want to understand this document, understand this facts here. So which city the accident take place? The model says Bengaluru. My question: any fatalities? And the model come back and says no fatalities. Any injuries? The model says yes, there were injuries. Driver of Tata Safari suffered injuries, right? This is the information coming my way. And of course, I'll follow it up with a question saying, what were the models of the cars involved? It tells me two cars, Tata Safari and Hyundai Creta. This is the $1 million question. Should the claim be approved, yes or no? Right? Let's take a pause here. Okay, look at this response. it says as AI, I don't have ability to approve or disapprove, right? It's you or the pilot, you decide. But I can tell you that based on the facts provided, driver of Tata Safari was not at fault, right? So likely that insurance claim should be justified. Claim should be justified. That means you should approve it. Of course, I'm a expense claim approver, so I need reasons. The question I'm going to ask the model now is, give me 3 reasons why I should approve the claim. Look, the model is, by the way, the reasons it's giving me right now, it's factually right reasons coming from the document, not a copy paste. It's creating a reason for me right now. One of the customers said, you know what, let's take the model, ask, give me reasons to reject the claim, right? This is the reality of the innovation. It says, you know what, it's lean towards approval, but if you want reason to reject, I can tell you hypothetically that, you know what, look at lack of proper documentation, policy exclusions, and policy limitations. I mean, this is the true brain that we have today, which is pre-trained and you can use for your domain, right? Let's get back to my presentation. Now that is one capsule. The final, I'll just take 3 more minutes and then we will take a pause. So now with this innovation, as Microsoft, we're innovating and bringing what we call as co-pilots in each of product portfolio, right? By the GPT model that I showed so far, it's available under Azure. You can absolutely use that as a first-class citizen and build solutions. However, as Microsoft, we've taken the same brain and we have infused that into our product portfolio and used it as innovation. I'm going to play this short video. This is audio, by the way, and let's watch this video and then take it forward from there. Okay. This is an example of the future of how our work gets amplified, how we stay productive, and how this brain can do magic for us at work. Right? So let's look at this. I'm going to have a couple of examples here. By the way, this is a Teams call, right? We're in Teams today. This is my Teams call. Teams has a co-pilot, right? So I'll tell you how the way we work changes dramatically. When I'm in Teams call, I'm sure all of you can relate to it. Many times you start making notes. When you're making notes, you take your eyes off the camera, right? And you're distracted because you're making notes, you lose conversations. Now, is there a way you can focus 100% on the conversation and leave note taken to somebody else, right? Or insight. So let's look at this. Okay. First of all, hi guys, thanks for joining in.
One of the most important things mentioned on top of care of their own.
Meaningful conversation. This is something which I wanted to kind of do for a long time. So meeting is done, and I had my co-pilot right there. Open my co-pilot, and I'm going to ask question on the call. That's it, right? Hey, recap the meeting for me. And the co-pilot says, yes, you know what? You discussed about review with Carlson, action items, long weekend plans. Now, I'm asking, hey, was there any action for me, Sandeep? Did you take any action? It says, yes, you took action, Sandeep. By the way, I can ask this question for all the meetings that happened whenever Copilot has been activated. So that means it can be 3 months back. Doesn't matter. I can go on another question. Now, the question is, hey, did we discuss on NSAT? It says, yes, there were discussions on NSAT, and this is the summary of that, right? And I know one of my team members was going on leave or holiday, Vishnu. I don't know where he was going. My question is, hey, where is Vishnu going on holiday? It says going with his family for a 4-day vacation to Goa. And one of member in my team, Divya, I wanted to know what she spoke in the call. The question is, hey, summarize Divya's narrative for me. It beautifully does that. So this is Copilot in Teams, by the way. Yeah, this is absolutely here and on real. Word document. Imagine somebody tells me, my manager tells me, hey, Sandeep, I want a document on the topic, electrical vehicles. And its role, the role it plays to make this world a better place. Moment I open Word, a Copilot comes in. I'm going to throw the question. And what you're seeing is the Copilot drafting me that article in Word. I'm not saying this is, you can just take it and submit it. No, it's giving you 70-80% of what you really want. You can go make small changes. For example, you'll see in a few seconds when conclusion comes, I don't like the conclusion, right? Conclusion happens in a few seconds. And I may not like the conclusion. I'm going to select the conclusion, say regenerate for me. It's going to give me 6-7 options, right? And I choose one and keep it and make changes, right? This is the power of Copilot within Word. Let's look at it. One last demo, right? This is earnings call transcript between Satya Nadella, our CEO, and Amy Hood, our CFO, for investors. It's a public document. It's a 46-page Word document, by the way. I'm taking that Word document, saving in my Teams, right? It's already saved. I'm copying that link, going to PPT. PPT as a Copilot, and I'm going to give the same link of the file that I just copied from OneDrive and say transform. In a few seconds, right? It takes about 10-15 seconds. You should see the magic here, right? These are never seen before slides, by the way, right? It gave me 11 beautiful slides and never seen before image, never seen before text. It's all beautifully collated, those slides. This is truly magical, right? Now, of course, for me, the true magic was, right, when I went from slide to slide and noticed there are speaker notes for me, right? The original content and a concise summary that I should use in the slide. That's not it. This Copilot is interactive, right? So I can ask any question. Here I want to ask saying, what, by the way, you didn't see thank you slide. I said, add a thank you slide for me, right? Before I conclude. Now it takes a few seconds, beautifully brings in a thank you slide, right? And that's it, never seen before image. So with that, I conclude my talk. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll stop sharing my screen. Any question you have, please feel free to post them. We'll take it from there. We have 8 minutes to go before we end this webinar, but happy to kind of answer any questions you may have from here on.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Sandeep. That was truly a refreshing take on Gen AI, its vast capabilities, and understanding the term artificial general intelligence. While we're using ChatGPT and other AI-based tools, it is truly an eye-opener to understand the impact of Gen AI in our workplaces, especially for the HR department.
Yeah.
On that note, we invite our participants to share their queries in the chat box.
I see one question. Will the Copilot for Teams be able to address multi-language communication in the same meeting? Absolutely. So here's the deal. If you look at today, these GPT models, while I use the term multimodal, they're also multilingual, right? So the speech, translation, transcription, these are all part of, I would say, pool of innovations. For example, you will see innovation called Whisper. Whisper is one of the large language model which does speech to text. OpenAI has built, they've actually built this, this model to transcribe in 100+ languages. Similarly, GPT models actually understand 100+ languages, right? So that way, solvable. That'll happen soon. Yeah. I see another question. Which future trends do you foresee the intersection of Gen AI and human resources? See, here's the deal. Wherever you foresee a role of a natural language task, that's where you see intersection of Gen AI and human resources, right? Anything you want, the human dynamics aspect, yeah, human dynamics aspect. Wherever you feel there is a need for you to ask question, there's a need for you to unearth insights, right? It can be about a person, it can be about person performance, it can be about the person's growth, career. It can be any question you can ask. Of course, I think what is essential is you have to ground this model. When I ask the question on insurance, right? Should I hire this person? The model was made to ground itself on the fact that I presented to the model. The fact is that insurance case history. My point is, in HR world, you'll have to ground the model on your enterprises, the factual data of employees and the performance, and ask questions on it. Yeah. Let's move forward. In what ways can GenAI contribute to improving the overall employee experience in an organization? Absolutely. See, generative AI, all the solutions that showcased so far, be it Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or reasoning engine we're talking about, they're all productivity multipliers, right? Let's take an example. There is this innovation called GitHub Copilot, right? GitHub Copilot is a developer's digital assistant which helps you write better code. Now, the life of developer is exciting more than ever before, right? The developer's experience in terms of building software is something which they never experienced before, right? Likewise, there are multiple solutions that you will empower people with, which will make their experience, their life, their work life better, right? That's the future. Next one, what measures should organization take to ensure the privacy of sensitive HR data when implementing? Absolutely. See, when I say, that's why I made it clear earlier, this is a pre-trained brain. This brain is trained, it's closed, it doesn't take any further data for the model to become intelligent. It's all intelligent, right? Go back to my earlier narrative. I said the model is available. The model is pre-trained. The model is closed. You only show, just show, I'm saying use the term show. You're not feeding in. You just show your data to the model. Model will look at it and respond to you. Of course, in enterprise scenario, these model endpoints are deployed in your subscription. Let's say you're on Azure and your HR data is on Azure. This endpoint will be on Azure. So, right, when you use Azure OpenAI service, that way it's a native call. So information, your data is your data. Your data does not leave the subscription. Your data will be absolutely be secure in the sandbox within your subscription. Okay. I don't know, Mitesh, is presentation will it be made available on YouTube? I don't know.
Yes, this whole session will be on YouTube.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. What else? Okay, there's a few questions here. The same one. Okay. Okay. Privacy is okay. Will there be an effect on an organization compliance with DPDP Act by deploying GenAI? No. See, end of the day, all these there are multiple ways. There is data residency, there is data sovereignty, all the stuff. So DPDP Act, of course, these solutions you build, you'll have flexibility to build solutions aligning to the regulatory requirements. That's the future. So there's no one way of building a solution here. If we train Copilot about my organization, can it look over web merge with my company information, tell me what are my company information? So see, first of all, when I say training, okay, this is pre-trained model. You can instruct the model what to do. For example, this model has no hands and legs to go and fetch information. There are techniques to go and fetch information. For example, if you saw the Bing example earlier, the Bing was a search engine. It searches first for the question you ask, then hands it off to GPT to respond. Likewise, you will build semantic search. You will have embeddings. You will have techniques to look over. You'll probably build plugins. Plugins are a way to the outside world, the way to bring resources from external resource. So you will use techniques, frameworks available to actually source that much required fact for the question you ask. See, when you ask a question, there is an orchestrator, right? Orchestrator basically converts your question into intent, and based intent, it searches information, fetches information, shows it to the model responds to you, right? Minute to go, one last question. Are there any specific key performance indicators companies can focus on to understand the influence of Gen AI? So it's absolutely scenario specific, right? Every scenario you look at Gen AI, you'll have to look at how do I measure value? So KPIs are a key component of how do you measure value. So you have to quantify. So absolutely quantifiable, because you'll see tangible benefits of generative AI when you build solutions on top of any organization. So I think that's pretty much it. Mitesh, we're on time. Truly appreciate everybody's attention today. I know a good number of folks have joined here. You can ping me on LinkedIn any further questions. I'll be more than happy to answer over the weekend. Otherwise, you guys have a wonderful weekend and wishing you all a happy Deepavali and have a wonderful festival. Mitesh, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandeep. Mr. Sandeep, for sharing your in-depth insights on the vision of future where human innovations and Gen AI-based creativity will be used to create truly groundbreaking possibilities in the field of HR as well as all the other domains. Thank you very much for enlightening us with all the new terms which we have seen in the presentation earlier.
Wonderful. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye, sir.